You're listening to another ASCI Lounge podcast.
Hello, ASCI members. Welcome to the ASCI Lounge. I'm Monique Fennick from Australasian Supply Chain Institute, and this is the CEO Update Series, Episode 6. And joining us on the ASCI Lounge is Ivan Imparato, ASCI CEO. Welcome, Ivan.
Welcome, Monique. Thank you. And it's great to be back on the lounge.
Yeah, last episode 5, we talked about robots taking 6.5 million jobs, which was an AFR article on funnily enough, on the 1st of April, April Fool's Day. There's no joke to that article, was there, Ivan?
No joke. But look, it's one of those things, that happen when something like that goes to print. But I suppose I didn't really get the opportunity to finish it off last week about talking about the business alignment framework thinking that I had, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But on Friday night, if I remember correctly, there was a really nice, interesting TV episode. It was more like a panel discussion, to be honest. It was talking about the future of work, and they had members from education, government. They had the CEO of ACS, the Association of Computer Society, and they were talking about the impact that automation has on future jobs. They were talking about what organisations need to do, how they need to approach it, what they need to think about, what education's doing in the STEM program. So really interesting discussion, and it sort of, it spoke exactly what we were trying to talk about last week. And I suppose some of the key words that we're talking about was opportunity more than a problem. So look at it as a change, as an opportunity to grow, and that's a really good message as a result of that. So it's all positive, Monique. To be honest, it's really some really interesting times ahead, and yeah, it was fascinating episode. So on the business alignment framework, really, if members should have a copy of their Association of Supply Chain Management magazine. I think it's the January to March edition. Page 14 and 15 talks about business alignment framework, and it's really just quite a simple 3-step approach to strategy, and it talks about stop pedaling and start navigating, and I think that's quite topical, really. Just stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Just stop it. Think about it, and put a plan in place, and it talks about people, it talks about SWOT analysis, current state, it talks about stop doing things, start doing things. Quite good. So have a look at the article and think about it, because really that's all it's about, isn't it? Stop, think, and put a plan in place.
Yeah, that's right. And part of the ASCII Networking Breakfast series always involves some technical discussion and helping our members through some of these navigational opportunities to them. And one of those coming up on the 1st of May in Sydney is we've invited Microsoft and Accenture to come and talk to us about machine learning and artificial intelligence and how they are already achieving some success in supply chain for some retail groups. So JDA has kindly sponsored that one, and will be running the panel discussion with Microsoft and Accenture. And I think that is one way that members can really start to shop around and have a look at, well, what does success look like so far, and how can we get started or get involved. So
Yeah,
please come along to that event if you're a member in Sydney. It's free for you and your guests to attend, and the link's in the podcast description of this episode.
excellent. Yeah, looking forward to it. And that really does link in nicely to what we're trying to do at ASCI, isn't it, Monique? Because we need to see ourselves as facilitators to bring those discussions to the table and help our members put together some actionable supply chain. I call it a supply chain talent development plan, right? some actionable plans to enable them to better understand what their issues are and what their opportunities are, and not only for their organisations but for themselves personally as well. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So, what else is in store for you this week, Ivan?
Well, something a little bit different actually. Tomorrow night I was invited. That's tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Wednesday, the 10th. I'm invited at a Australian Institute of Project Management panel discussion in the city. So I'm a member of the AIPM, have been for a long time, and they kindly invited me along to talk about. The topic is, can procurement deliver social value changes? Now that's quite an interesting topic, right? So you've got myself, and you've got a couple of ladies from Laissez-faire, who are more on the catering side of the business and looking at how the procurement impacts their business and what they're doing. And a gentleman called Ian Thomas from ACOM, who are a global engineering company. So that should be quite an interesting panel discussion. And I'll be talking about what we're trying to do and what we're seeing from a supply chain management industry point of view. From an organizational point of view, I can bring some of my experiences to play, from Toyota, and from an individual point of view, what can an individual do to enable procurement delivering social value? So it should be a really interesting panel discussion, and maybe at the next week's lounge, I'll give a bit of a summary on some of the things that I've learnt from
Yeah,
tomorrow.
it's a good segue because we're thinking about this series and how we've reached out to some members to say, what do you want to hear? That
Exactly.
type of thing.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
what's your thoughts around the future of the series and what you'd like to do with it?
I think the CEO update sort of morphs into more of an ASCI member update or an ASCI lounge update. It's really more about bringing more people in and getting some more discussion around the future of work, right? And that could be, we can get some of our sponsors to talk. We can get some of our corporate members to talk. We can invite anyone that wants to talk on the lounge with us, and that's my thinking. I think you've had enough of the CEO update. I think 6 weeks is enough, but I've enjoyed it, and I think it's time to now morph into something a bit more. It's probably not a bit more interesting, because of course mine is interesting, right?
Yeah,
But it's
right.
more,
Of course.
but more,
Yeah, but it's getting lonely on the lounge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's getting a bit lonely, and it'd be nice to ask questions and see what others think about, what's happening around us. So yeah, looking forward
Yeah.
to the morph or morphing
Mm,
of the lounge.
Sounds good. So the ASCII update, it would be great to hear from you members. You'll hear from our collaboration partners as well, from some of our media partners, perhaps some of our sponsors, and also you, the members. Come and join us on the ASCII Lounge and share what's happening in your supply chain. That's really where the stories are at. So we're looking forward to hearing from you. And you can email us at inquiries@asci.org.au with your ideas for stories.
Excellent. On that note, good night, everyone, and see you next week.
Thanks for joining us, Ivan, and bye for now.